Good evening and welcome into the Blues Central Postgame show on STL Sports Central. I'm your host, Ethan Hannaford. He is Jacob Stanoch. The Blues, 6-3 losers tonight against the Pittsburgh Penguins. They play without two of their key forwards. A frustrating game overall once again for St. Louis, who drops their fourth straight game. Yes, fourth straight. I tell you what. I don't think that you could have paid anyone in St. Louis to have put money down through DraftKings that the Blues were going to lose four straight this quickly into the season. A bumpy start for St. Louis with the loss now. I think, 3-5-1 on the year? So it has not been good for St. Louis, and unfortunately, when it rains, it pours, and tonight it certainly poured, Jacob.
Oh, that's for sure. And the storm started right away. As simple as that. I mean, you can't open up a game like that. I just want to go right now. Aaron Dodson, he's been pitching a lot. Pretty laid back for losing four straight. As most people with teams that do this, you get used to it. And thanks, Heartnut. Appreciate it. I know I'm not Thomas, but you'll still see me just as much. So be ready, Red Wings fans. Anyway, you get used to it. This is probably about what the Cardinals felt about. Cardinals fans felt about what are we thinking? Middle of May, where you just got used to it. It got to a point where, like, if they win, you're happy, but if you lose, it's just the same old at this point. So yes, it's early in the season. Yes, it's it's a little bit of an overreaction, I will say, but I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, Jacob, you seem like, and I get it. You're riding the roller coaster right now. Roller coaster's in a lull. I get it. Frustrating. What is obviously there's a lot of different answers to this question, but for you personally right now, what frustrates you? What is frustrating you the most about this team?
I think simply the first two lines are not working. They're really not putting in the effort that everyone expects of them, simply put. And I think also tonight you saw the effects of, even though Thomas isn't putting up the numbers, and Neighbors certainly was felt gone. I mean, they're just still they're not connecting. They're not working well, and it doesn't seem like there's. I mean, it just doesn't seem like they're connecting at all whatsoever. And they're supposed to be guys that are, they've played together. They're supposed to work together. Simple as this, but they're just not working together right now. So, I mean, and at the same time too, I don't think there's not a lot of fire beneath them right now. I mean, obviously they're still trying, but they don't have that extra edge. Simple as that.
We'll go ahead and dive into the impact that no Robert Thomas, no Jake Neighbors had on this team tonight. Obviously, there's no excuses regardless. That's what Jim Montgomery is going to say tonight. There has to be a next man up mentality. You have to find a way. And unfortunately, they did not find a way tonight, despite their best efforts. You mentioned the bad start. Did it not to you with the way that the final 25 minutes, 30 minutes of the game on, it's Monday, on Saturday, concluded against Detroit, where you allowed 6 straight goals? Did it not feel like an immediate continuation of that in the first minute of tonight's game?
Yes, it certainly did, to say the least. And the sad thing was, I was calling Linwood hockey on the radio, so I wasn't able to watch it. But while we're watching that, my buddy and I, Daniel Hinkamp, we just look at our phones occasionally like, oh my gosh, it's 4-2. Or it's 4-1. It looks great. They're doing good. They're up early. And then immediately, back at it again. The first thing we said was we cannot get, we can't get the hopes up. Simple as that. And, well, we certainly did. Thank you, every Red Wings fan, for hopping in. Please continue to talk about one game. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Also, just want to throw this out there. What happened to your playoff streak? I just thought I'd just start some fire here. So just going to put that out there. Yeah, make the playoffs, and then we'll talk. So,
I will give this. And I'll give my kudos to the Red Wings fans that are in here. First off, Hertzy asking Ethan, "Do I love Heartnut?" I love all of our people that are in here because I
We
appreciate
all do.
you guys are supporting us by being in here. So thank you. Whether you are chirping or whether you are supporting, we appreciate you being in here. And the that's what I have to say about that.
Yep.
There's not much more than I can be saying about the Red Wings fans that are in here right now. Outside of as soon as I started this stream, they were at it. So to a certain extent, like kudos. Like kudos, either you're that big of a hockey fan or you're just that bored on a Monday night. You were just pulling up the Blues versus Pittsburgh Penguins post game show and having at it. So you know what? Kudos.
I love it.
The early goals in this one: Brian Russ, 39 seconds in; Anthony Mantha, just 16 seconds later. What did you take of the start to this one? What went wrong for St. Louis? We know the struggles that Joel Hofer has had here early in the season, excluding his first start against Calgary, I think in game number 2 of the season. I know it's hard to put it's hard to put a number, right? How much of the responsibility was on Joel Hofer on this goal compared to that goal, compared to the defenseman's responsibility, or fill in whatever name. We know that the Blues expected goal numbers are not expected goal save numbers are not good this year. They are well below league average. What did you take from the start, specifically from Joel Hofer, in tonight's game?
Not ready. I think that's just the best way to put it. It seemed like they were just flat-footed, weren't exactly ready to go. Would have liked to seen that extra step, and they just didn't have it. You always want to see a team come out with fire, and they did not. Simple as that. And you get one breakout, didn't even get into the offensive zone, and immediately they go back the other way, and they just let him walk into the neutral zone. So again, it's walk in, get an easy shot, and then literally the next break in, they just let him walk through. Snuggerud leaves his man open. Toropchenko leaves his man open as well. There's just no situational awareness right ahead, and you need to be ready for that right away.
Aaron commenting saying, "Shove your expected numbers. Only wins is the stat that matters." The expected stat proves why they are not winning. It wasn't in any sort of way spinning anything whatsoever. But thank you for listening, Aaron. We appreciate you being here. Richard Clay commenting and saying, "Montgomery set Hofer up to fail tonight." What do you take of that comment, Jacob?
It's really getting to a point. It's difficult because at this point, Hofer needs his game to get back into it. The problem is at what point, when do you do that? And how long do you ride Binnington while he himself is also kind of a slow streak? That being said, Binnington's making a lot more saves and a lot more key saves than Hofer is right now. But it was at one point they were both making key saves. So you need to get Hofer that next game. You need to get him back in the net. You need to get him that confidence back. The problem is he's just it's so difficult to really say what is that game where he's finally going to get out of his head almost. It's simple as that. And you need to, and you don't want to send a guy down because you don't want to hurt him like that. And also it's really high. It's really hard to pull up a third string goaltender who you don't even know who it is right now. I mean, simple as that. It's really weird with the goaltender situation after Joel Hofer right now with the Blues. So you want that double time. You want to even split almost with your goaltenders. Simple as that. But this is just not, I don't think he set him up to fail. I just don't know, again, if Hofer's right there just yet. The problem is then you have to say, well, how many times does Binnington go in a row?
Comment here, Richard clarified what exactly he was referencing, not about playing him immediately following the struggles. Because I understood the mindset and from Jim Montgomery and playing him tonight. He made it very clear in the pregame that he wanted to get him back out there. That there's basically two ways that you can approach that. You can give a guy several games off, let him reset his mind, or after a disappointing outing, you can let him have the opportunity to get right back out there. And I think that that's how Jim Montgomery was viewing this tonight. But that's not what Richard was referring to. He was referring more so to the line in which was opposing Sidney Crosby tonight out there on the ice. I didn't. Do you know which line specifically was lined up against Crosby tonight? In large part, I can tell you this much: that top line of Russ, Crosby, and Hollander were pretty dang sharp tonight. I think Crosby was, I think he was +3 tonight. Rust had 2 goals, so they definitely had their way. And I guess you could argue that maybe the lesser experienced goaltender was put in a tough spot. But I mean, to a certain extent, like, that's going to happen sometimes. I don't know what you can say outside of that's the business. And if you're a pro, you have to be able to perform regardless. It's not like Joel Hofer is a rookie. I mean, it's not like this guy is playing his 6th game of his NHL career. This is a guy that a lot of people were expecting to be 60-40, 55-45 this year with Jordan Binnington. So I get it to a certain extent, Richard, but I think that Joel Hofer, or I would have argued that Joel Hofer is beyond that. Maybe I'm wrong. Just my personal opinion.
I mean, yeah. Simple as that. I don't really know. It's you expect that anyone you match up against should work. It doesn't matter if it's your 4th line against their top line, their 4th line against your top line, whatever it is, they should always be matching, and it's just not connecting. And again, it just didn't connect early, and that's again where you need to start. So
it didn't connect early, but at some point, and this is where I'll commend the Blues, and this is where I'm going to get heat in this chat. But when the score went 2-0 in the first minute, that's when I was like, okay, if I wasn't doing post game tonight, I would have turned the game off, because I would have said I basically said to myself, this game's over. Yeah, it does not feel like we're going to be in the mix or competitive at all, and that's not what happened. St. Louis responded relatively quickly, less than 3 minutes, more, I think 2.5 minutes in, following Nick Bjugstad on a really pretty goal, just getting dirty in front of the goaltender, in front of the crease, puts one in on a one-timer, and following that, the Blues were able to tie it up later in the first period with a goal from Jordan Kyrou, kind of similar to Bjugstad's goal. I was pretty impressed by the Blues' ability, despite the horrible start, to get back in it. It did not take getting to the intermission and getting chewed out by Montgomery. Things like that tell me that in no way whatsoever is this a coaching issue, right? I mean, so I thought that was pretty telling. And, you know, the goal was not achieved. They didn't win the game, but after that kind of start, based off of what the previous 3 games had looked like, would have been really easy just to say, all right, well, we're just going to have to bite the bullet on this one. And they didn't do that, even with 2 of their top 6 forwards out.
Yeah, and again, talking about the, people already were talking about it, maybe it's time for Monty to go. We need someone new. I'm like, and I said it the first time, it's not at all a coaching decision. It's not at all the coach's fault. And again, like you said, that's exactly what you said there. Was just, it showed that it wasn't a fault with Monty. It wasn't a fault with the coaching. It was, that showed that they're able to play. They're able to fight back when in a spot like that. They showed a really good stretch in that last 10 minutes of the first, and it's far from it. So again, like you said, it's just the fight you like to see. The problem was after that second period, they got Pittsburgh had their step up, couldn't get anything going. And then by the third, it just continued. And again, it's that ebbs and flows of the hockey of a hockey game that they are not really writing out very well, I think. And either it's a rough start that they just can't continue or stay up with, which tonight they were able to push back on. But tonight here, it was as soon as Pittsburgh had their pushback now after the Blues were able to tie it, then all of a sudden they got stuck. They did have a good power play chance, rang the post a handful of times. So again, it was a good pushback. It was a good response, and that's a good sign. The problem is you can't only respond after you've been hit.
He is Jacob Stanoch. I am Ethan Hannaford. This is the Blues Central Postgame show on STL Sports Central. St. Louis drops this one tonight to the Pittsburgh Penguins. Final score 6-3. If you are in the chat right now, if you are watching and you have not subscribed to us, please do so. Hit the like and subscribe button below, and we would greatly appreciate that so you can see all of our content here on STL Sports Central, Card Central, Blues Central, City Central. We're covering the Billikens, college basketball, getting ready to get started. Matthew Rocchio just put out an article on our website this week. Go and check that out. The Randy Carricker Show, Monday through Friday every day. The Bernie Miklas' show. There is all kinds of content here on STL Sports Central that you should subscribe so that you are getting all of the notifications for. As always, all of our content here on STL Sports Central is presented by DraftKings. The crown is yours. Download the DraftKings Pick 6 app. And when you do that, when you download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, you will and use the code STL Sports. Grab $300. You're going to get $300 in bonus bets with just a $5 bet when we go live on December 1st. That's code STL Sports. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 plus. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. Excludes customers who redeem pre-launch sign-up offer. Terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos. He is Jacob Stanoch. I am Ethan Hannaford. This is the Blues Central Postgame show on STL Sports Central. In just a moment, I am going to ask you about your thoughts on the money moment of the game tonight. And there's definitely a couple of different options that you could go with. Well, let's go ahead and let's continue through the timeline of the game. In the a little over halfway through the second period, it was Pittsburgh that would take the lead, and they would not surrender from that point. They would tack on insurance early in the third period, and I mean very early in the third period. I remember that being a huge thing last year for St. Louis. When they got hot, they did such a good job of starting and finishing periods well. In 3 of the 6 goals tonight, I'm not going to count the empty netter. 3 of the 6 goals tonight were scored in the first minute. The first minute, Jacob, of periods. How impactful can it be to both start and finish a period in the right way, whether entering or exiting the locker room?
I mean, simple as this. It's always about how you start the period. If you start slow, it's going to immediately take you out of that entire period. I mean, especially in the third, when you're trying to battle back, and now all of a sudden you went from, we're just a goal away, to now you're back down to being 2. And that just takes out the win in your sails. And I think we saw that with the Blues tonight. But after that third goal by Matthew Joseph, there was that, all right, we're right back in it. Unfortunately, they get that really, really tough stretch where they just can't bury anything, or they bang those posts. A really good power play. And again, it's that thing where if you don't get rewarded on a really good power play, win gets right back out of your sails. And then right after that, Crosby bringing it down as soon as they're pushing again, finishing it, getting the sealer there. And it's all about how, mostly I feel like it's about how, again, like you said, finishing and especially starting. Because if you don't start a game right, then immediately there's just 58 minutes after that where you're just already down.
You said it right there. Following that fourth goal given up by Hofer and the Blues, they were able to get it back to a 1-goal deficit. Matthew Joseph off the post and in. What did you see from Matthew Joseph tonight? What have you seen from him up to this point this season? I know that you were talking before we went on. There were some things that you had liked about his game compared to last year. What has stood out to you about Joseph's play?
I mean, long story short, it just looks like he's the one that's playing the hardest out of anyone. He came in this offseason kind of still fighting for a spot on that last line. And I feel like we've seen it today where he's really earning his stride, really earning his minutes. I mean, he only gets just under 12 and a half minutes tonight with the rest of that fourth line. But again, he's been pushing so hard. That entire fourth line has been one of the hardest working lines just kind of historically for the Blues. They always are. And again, Matthew Joseph still, since he's got here, has continued to just kind of prove his point and proven himself to stay up with not even just the Blues, pretty much any team he has been with. And every now and then, I think a lot of those guys know Matthew Joseph's kind of had a history where he's one of the guys always fighting for that last spot. And this season, I don't know if he really had to have, but he sure as hell looks like it. And he's really putting in that effort. He's working really hard, and that goal really kind of showed. And he earned it. Simple as that. And when you get a goal like that from a guy like Joseph, it unfortunately didn't happen tonight, but a lot of times you see a lot of fire come out of a team, and that's, almost like getting in a big fight or getting a fight in a game. It's exactly what fires up a team when you get a guy who earns every inch of ice he gets and puts away a nice goal like that. It can really get a team going. It just couldn't get it going here tonight.
He's Jacob Stanoch. I'm Ethan Hannaford. This is the Blues Central Postgame Show on STL Sports Central. It's now time to tell you that the Blues Central Postgame Show is brought to you by our business banking partners at Home Bank. From business lending to everyday banking, Home Bank has been with us since day one as a trusted partner. Business is not just about numbers. It's about relationships. And with Home Bank, those relationships make all the difference. Home Bank is the team behind our team here at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Home Bank, member FDIC, more than a bank. They're your business partner. Before I ask you about the money moment of the game, I want to, for a moment, talk about the Blues' struggles on the power play tonight. 0 for 3 on the power play. It has not been an issue in large part this season. In fact, it's one of the few areas that I think they've actually looked pretty good in their top 10 in the NHL in power play. I think it's pretty clear, right, that when you take away two of your power play pieces, it's going to have an impact on your struggles. But we talked about it. It has to be a next man up mentality. And when you look at what this game was with 4 minutes left, it's a 1-goal game. And you're 0 for 3 on the power play. And one of them was an empty netter. One of them was a kind of a freak Sidney Crosby, point blank opportunity. You're 0 for 3 on the power play. I mean, that might be the stat out of all of them that stands out the most.
Yeah, and again, the power play looks good. They're setting up really well. They're moving the puck really well. The problem is they're moving the puck too much right now, and I think it's because they're without Thomas. I think tonight, especially without Thomas kind of quarterbacking it, moving it around. And it was just tough. It looked like they were looking for, with the exception of that one power play where they nailed the post probably 4 times, I think they said. It seemed like they were, again, just looking for a perfect shot. I think that third time around, Monty just said, hey, stop looking for a perfect lane. Stop trying to feather it through. Just fire it on net. Get it to the net. That's what you're supposed to do, and that'll work. And it didn't tonight, just out of unfortunate circumstances. But again, it's a good power play that's not putting up numbers, and simply because they are not, I just don't think they're shooting enough. And I think they've had that problem historically before. I think it was an issue last year for a lot of the year was they didn't shoot the puck enough. And a lot of times people, you want to look for a good shot when you're on 5-on-5. When you're on the power play, you just got to get it to the net. Simple as that. You feather it in, you look for a good shot, you find a lane, and then go immediately. As soon as you find the smallest lane, you fire that in and let the guys in front of the net just jam away. And, I think that's kind of what's the problem right now. And I think without kind of like Thomas with that hesitant and patient mind, it's really hard for them to connect well with that and find those open lanes. Because I feel like Thomas, the way he set up that power play allowed them to get open more, allowed them to create more chances. And of course, now with Neighbors out, you don't have a gritty force on that power play as well. So I think tonight, obviously, you could feel the difference without Thomas and Neighbors. And I think he felt that 5-on-5 as well. That being said, though, overall in the season, there's been a lot of power plays, though, that it just seems like they're not connecting either. And I really appreciate Ace Rob pitching in here. And, the passing, like he said the passing has been with Thomas. I mean, yeah, it's been a little rough every now and then. And I think that's the other thing too, is that this is an inconsistent Blues power play. And I think they've been a little bit more consistently decent just with not shooting. They've just been really, really inconsistent overall. There've been a lot of good games where a lot of games they've had where they've had really rough power plays. Simple as that. And they're just really inconsistent on the power play here so far this season.
All right, Jacob, it is time to talk about our money moment of the game. I'm going to go ahead and do the read, and then you are going to tell the people of what the game-changing moment was in tonight's contest. Our money moment of the game is brought to you by Home Bank, the team behind our team at STL Sports Central. Visit myhomebank.bank or call 855-577-2001. Jacob, the floor is yours.
I think the money moment has to go to the Matthew Joseph and in the third goal of the night. I mean, that was just a good goal by him fighting through. He gets that chance and buries a goal that he needed and earned. He's really fought for just his spot. He's fought for the entire fourth line. And I think tonight was a deserving goal for him. He put in the effort, and I don't know, it may not have seen the effects right away, but I think that really shows how much this fourth line has been fighting for this team this year. I mean, the fourth line consistently always one of the toughest teams toughest lines for the Blues. And tonight, again, that just put an exclamation mark on it. This is I would say one of the deepest and grittiest fourth line in the league, I would argue. I'm not saying they're the best. They're definitely not the best players on it. But I think that they are a really tough team, a really tough line, and a bunch of gritty guys who just get it done, who a lot of teams would love to have on their team. And Matthew Joseph, like I said, all season so far is just – he's been working so hard, working his butt off, and he earned that goal tonight.
Just time for the top three lines to start following in the action and getting in the mix as well. This is the Blues Central Postgame Show, and it is sponsored by Drink Thunder. Fuel your fire with Drink Thunder, the all-natural pre-workout that just hits different. Plant-based, fruit-powered, zero sugar, sweetened naturally with monk fruit. Yes, that is right. Monk fruit. That is a thing. Each serving is packed with vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants to ignite your energy and push your performance to the next level. Choose your flavor: orange mango, blackberry lemonade, or strawberry cream, and feel the rush the natural way. Order now at drinkthunder.com. Drink Thunder. Pure power, no crash, all natural, baby. Jacob, before we wrap here, let's go ahead and take a look at the upcoming schedule for our beloved St. Louis Blues, who will try and right the ship tomorrow night. They are back at home playing the second leg of a back-to-back. It will be against the fiercely hated Detroit Red Wings, mostly because of the chat tonight. We appreciate you being here.
No, really.
7:15 puck drop against Detroit. I'm assuming that Jordan Binnington will be in the net. considering that Hofer was in net tonight. What do you want to see from the Blues? I asked Thomas this same question on Saturday night. The only difference was the number of games remaining in the month of October. What do you want to see from St. Louis in these next 2 games, whether it be a number of goals scored, a win or a W or an L? Is there a certain guy you want to see perform a specific way? What do you want to see in the final 2 games of the month of October?
I think the biggest thing, obviously, is top 2 lines got to step up. Simple as that. Whether you have Thomas or Neighbors or not, top 2 lines got to step up. Binnington probably needs to go the next 2, maybe even 3. Allow Hofer to get some time off. You'd like to see a win, but I think the biggest thing right now is just play a consistent 60 minutes where you're not down, you're not immediately slow right out of the gate, and then all of a sudden randomly for the last 10 minutes of the first, that's when you finally get it fired up. I mean, simple as that. They got to have a consistent 60. They got to play 60 minutes, and they are, again, it's simple as that. You have to be ready to go. You have to be ready to play hockey, and they weren't that last night. They seem to be ready against Detroit, but they didn't finish it off. So really now you just got to find the consistency.
And it's funny. That's almost the exact same thing that Thomas said on Saturday night, is he wants to see more of a consistent showing. You see bits and pieces where it looks promising. Obviously, though, when you have stretches like you did tonight to start off the first period and the third period, you're going to have a really hard time being able to make up for that. You can have 57 minutes of really good hockey. I don't know if I would go as far to say that the Blues played 57 minutes of good hockey tonight, but I would say that they looked, for a decent portion of the game, I thought that they looked okay, especially considering Thomas and Neighbors were out. But it doesn't matter if you start off the game like you did. And unfortunately, they did start off that way, and they ended up losing as a result of it. So disappointing, no doubt, tonight from St. Louis. But they'll look to right the ship and move forward tomorrow night against the Detroit Red Wings back at home. They finish out the month of October at home tomorrow night against Detroit. And then Thursday night, they will be facing off against the Vancouver Canucks, 7 o'clock puck drop. Jacob, any final comments here before we wrap?
Red Wings suck. I'm just going to say it right now. I have all the respect for the organization, but I'm losing respect for the fans. Just want to put it out that way. I believe in the Yzer plan. I wanted them to win because I felt like they deserved something. Now I'm thinking that I wouldn't be mad if they lose the next 70-plus games. So
I'm just curious what the post game is going to look like tomorrow.
With Mike and Thomas, yeah.
If the Blues do right the ship. That's what I'm curious of.
Yeah. Mike and Thomas will be on tomorrow. And, if they're able to – it'd be nice to see them get it done. I'll be just as – yes, I know I was very plain and boring and monotone tonight. That's what most people are talking about. And, again, it's one of the things where it's hard to get fired up after a team when after the first 2 games of a losing streak, you are still angry. And now you go, okay, now what? One, I don't have any control over what they do. That's up to them. So, and secondly, I'm just a fan. And yes, I'm mad. I am mad that they're losing. I would like them to be, I would like them to win games, but I can't control them. Simple as that. And I want to get fired up for them.
Back out on the ice tomorrow night at the Enterprise Center, and we will be here come the post game right here on STL Sports Central. We appreciate all of you being here, and we will see you tomorrow night. From Jacob Stanoch and Ethan Hannaford, this has been the Blues Central Postgame Show on STL Sports Central.